Broadcasting live from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, this is TBC News, our top stories. Zanzibar eyes to boost education sector through nutrition program.
This is a big group of people that are already doing a good job when it comes to health interventions.
Marking 49 years of independence, Mozambique keen to deepen ties. Good evening. I'm Kanki Mwaigomole. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBConline, and get also all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TBConline. The Council of Ministers of the East African Community through the East African Legislative Assembly has passed the community's budget for the financial year 2024-2025, amounting to $112.9 million, of which $67.7 million, equivalent to 61%, are expected to be raised from internal sources of member countries, and $43.9 million, equivalent to 39%, are expected to be contributions from the development partners. The budget that has been presented by the current Chair, Council of Ministers of East African Community, who is also the Minister of East African Cooperation from Southern Sudan, Deng Aloa Kol, have increased when compared to the budget of the last fiscal year, which was $103.8 million.
The East African budget for the financial year 2024-2025, also highlighting priority interventions, expected outcomes, budget proposals, and allocation to organs and institutions and budget assumptions. The Speaker, trade is the hinge around which the East African integration process revolves. The East African total trade with the rest of the world increased by 2.37% to $80.6 billion in 2023, compared to 78.7.
The Secretary General of the East African Community, Veronica Nduva Mweni, says the union has many plans that have been incorporated in the budget, vowing to ensure their execution to the completion. Meanwhile, President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Liberation Council, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, has called on the UK's Big Philanthropy Institute to collaborate with his government to boost the school's nutrition program, which targets to increase the students' performances. Dr. Mwinyi made the call when he met and held talks with the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Dr. Kesete Admasu, and his delegation in Zanzibar.
But I understand that you want to take it from 0 to 3, and then we have those that are pre-primary, but we have the primary as well, which is also an important step in life. So I think we should look into that as well. One of the areas that would be an advantage here in Zanzibar would be the involvement of the community health workers, as you said. This is a big group of people that are already doing a good job when it comes to health interventions, because they are doing vaccination, they are doing a lot of support to the mothers. But I think the same group of people could be given another task of making sure that they look at the children below, say, up to 3 years.
Furthermore, the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute says his institute is ready to cooperate with the government to explore opportunities to build the capacity of government officials and leaders, as well as cooperating in various sectors. Meanwhile, the Mozambican ambassador to Tanzania, Ricardo Mtumbudia, says that his country is keen to deepen ties with Tanzania in various fields, as both countries share a historical bond that dates back to colonial times. Ambassador Ricardo stated this during the Mozambican independence celebrations held at the Mozambican embassy in Tanzania. Peter Mganga attended the celebrations and has prepared a following report.
Viva, viva, Frelimo, guia do povo moçambicano.
After the 1974 revolution in Portugal, negotiations resulted in the recognition of Mozambique's independence on June 25, 1975, under the Frelimo government. The movement to fight for the independence of Mozambique started in Tanzania, where the late Julius Kambarage Nyerere played a crucial role to support the independence of Mozambique. A large number of the independence fighters of Mozambique camped in Tanzania until Mozambique gained independence in 1975. Here, the ambassador of Mozambique in Tanzania explains how his embassy marked the day with the rest of Mozambicans.
We normally, by the morning, we go to the Kinondoni cemetery, so to remind ourselves and to remember who have been buried there in Kinondoni cemetery. The father founder of Frelimo, Eduardo Shivambu Mondlane, and the other two heroes. And after independence, the remaining boards were carried out to Mozambique. They were exhumed to Mozambique. So this is the first step that we do normally when we celebrate any day, any historical day in Mozambique.
Furthermore, Ambassador Ricardo Mtumbuida thanks the Tanzanian government for continuing to maintain diplomacy relations.
We will still be brothers, and we will be still friends. We will be still what's good for us, because the two countries have the relationships from historical era, even before the colonial era. So it's quite difficult to think about our difference in terms of relationships between our two countries, and even between the people.
On the other hand, some Mozambican citizens who are living in Tanzania express their appreciations on how Tanzania played a major role in fighting for Mozambique's independence, while praising the diplomatic cooperation between Tanzania and Mozambique.
Edward Mondlane played a vital role and died because of Mozambique. So today we celebrate, we remember the day where we came from.
I'm happy, I'm free, and I'm proud to be Tanzania also.
We are celebrating because of good government, good relationship between government and government, means government of Tanzania and government of Mozambique. Yes, peacefully, harmony. We are celebrating because of all this.
In 1975, Mozambique achieved her independence, and this is the Samora Street, which found here in Dar es Salaam. There is a great contribution of Tanzania towards Mozambique's independence, and today, most of Mozambicans who are living here in Dar es Salaam, they have celebrated this wonderful day of independence. I'm Peter Mganga, reporting for TBC News here in Dar es Salaam.
Thank you so much, Peter Mganga, for that reportage. The Union of University Vice-Chancellors and Institutions of Higher Learning Institutions in the country say they are in the process of aligning all critical areas so as to implement the new education curriculum in the country, which aims to equip students with relevant skills. Speaking in Arusha during the union's annual meeting, the Vice President of the Science and Technology Institute of the Nelson Mandela University, who is also the chairperson of the union, Professor Maulilio Kipanyula, says the step is critical in upskilling the young generation with skills much needed in the job market. Here's a report by Sechelela Kongola, read by Faitha Ngaga.
It is the meeting involving university vice principals and institutions of higher education who are meeting in the city of Arusha. The meeting is the highest educational consultation level in the country.
This is the meeting that is held in accordance with the law. This committee was established in order to advise the Tanzania Commission for Universities, TCU, so that TCU can advise the government in various issues about education.
The meeting acknowledges the issue of education curriculum in the country as the most important agenda.
The most talked about topic is the curriculum. Therefore, universities have already started to review the curriculums, especially those on the field of academia, but also other curriculums. We have high expectations on these heads of universities. All teachers who are going to teach secondary schools and colleges that teach education studies are taught at universities. Therefore, all the changes done at the lower education levels have to be done at the higher levels as well.
The chairperson of the union, Professor Maulilio Kipanyula, says the union values highly the curriculum changes proposed, expecting the move to be a new dawn for the Tanzanian students.
We have held discussions on how universities can make solid plans in order to implement new curriculums. I think this implementation will bring about huge changes in the quality of graduates, since the curriculum focuses more on imparting hands-on skills to students.
The Dar Es Salaam Stock Exchange Group has approved a dividend of 145 shillings per share for the year ended December 31st, 2023, which is an increase of 25% when compared to a dividend of 116 shillings per share that was paid out for the year 2022. This comes after the company announcing a profit after tax of 5.696 billion shillings, which is higher by 24% when compared to the previous year, 2022, which marked a profit after tax of 4.606 billion shillings. Speaking at the 9th Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange Annual General Meeting in Dar es Salaam, the acting Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange Director General, Miriam Niwasa, says the year 2023 has been one of the most profitable years, following a good performance in both equities, bond turnovers, and profitability as compared to the previous year, 2022.
We have seen that the stock exchange has made a profit after tax of about 5.7 billion Tanzanian shillings, and out of that, 61% will be paid or returned to shareholders as dividends. Shareholders will get a dividend of 145 shillings per share, which makes a total of 3.5 billion Tanzanian shillings as dividends. The reasons for a good performance is there has been a good turnover in the market. The boards did very well on shares sales and buys. There has been a number of issuances, in particular on corporate bonds, especially the sustainable bonds, which have been listed during the year. And we have also done very well on data vending and training.
Total dividends worth 3.454 billion shillings will be given to the shareholders in August this year. In other news, the District Executive Director of the Sikonge District Council, Tabora Region, Selemani Mohammed Bandawe, urges the Ministry of Finance to set up a sustainable and long-term public financial management education program, insisting that education is critical and has the economic growth contribution to individuals and to the nation as a whole. Bandawe made the call when he met and held talks with a team of experts from the Ministry of Finance who are in the district to offer financial education to the citizens so as they may capitalize on the various opportunities available in the financial sector. He says the residents of the district do engage in various economic activities, but the income they earn fail to align with their cost of living due to lack of financial education. In addition, Bandawe praised the Ministry of Finance for reaching citizens of various groups and provided them with important financial management education, insisting that the education is critical as many citizens have incomes but lack financial management skills. The head of Dar es Salaam Maritime College, DIM, Dr. Tumaini Ngurumo, says his college is committed to continue to produce many more skilled seafarers to make the field professionally safer. Speaking during the climax of the World Seafarers' Day held in Bagamoyo, Dr. Ngurumo says, in addition to producing the experts, the financial well-being must be assured, a statement supported by the Senior Ship Inspection Officer from Tanzania Shipping Agencies Corporation, Captain Gadaf Chambo.
Every year at DMI, we train seafarers at all levels, starting from the very beginning. The standards of training of seafarers internationally, every person who works on board ship must undergo mandatory safety courses. In mandatory safety courses, every year at DMI, we train about 3,000 people. In doing so, we want to ensure that everybody that goes on board or works on board ship has the capability to stay safe and keep others on board ship safe. Because if you keep yourself safe, you will keep others safe as well.
It's my advice to ship owners to pay good packages to seafarers. Once you pay well, you will have qualified personnel. And if you pay little, you cannot get qualified personnel. You will have frustrated and qualified personnel. And that is danger to navigation, it's danger to your ship.
If we train good seafarers and we have a good ships, I think everything will be fine. But without having a good knowledge on what you are doing, that can cause a lot of things.
Yeah, I would like to advise my fellow ladies out there in Tanzania and beyond Tanzania to come and join in this sector as seafarers, because as women we are very few. We need more women so that we can, so that we can add value to our country.
On the other hand, the Deputy Minister of Transport, David Kienzile, says the government is committed to improve the maritime sector and boost the country's economy, while one of the sailors who participated in the celebrations encouraged women to join the field. The motto of the 2024 World Seafarers' Day is safety first for the future. Before we wind up our local news tonight, let us now have a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Don't miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. It's now time for all the latest in the international news. And on the international news, South African MK Party members insist that their stance is still to process a legal challenge against the Electoral Commission of South Africa, IEC, over what they allege to be rigged elections on the 29th May 2024. After missing the first parliament session, the members from the opposition party, Umkhonto weSizwe, got in the parliament today and promised to be strong contenders opposing the government of the National Unity GNU for the benefits of South Africans. We are joined by Fortunatus Kamsofi from South Africa with more details.
50 members of opposition party Umkhonto weSizwe who were not as part of those parliamentarians who got into in celebration into the first seat today, they took stage and they got into their oath and swore in the parliament this afternoon in Cape Town, led by former judge and controversial, the one who got impeached, the first ever judge to be impeached out of a judicial system in South Africa, Dr. John Hlophe, swore in as a chief whip of MK. This is dramatical in politics in South Africa. It's just seen on the other side that whereby the judician from the other side is transitioned to be a politician into a politician arena of the opposition party led by or formed by the former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma.
President William Ruto of Kenya has assured Kenyans that his government will protect civilians of Kenya, saying security of the people is his utmost priority. Addressing the nation of Kenya this evening after anti-finance bill protests were reported in different parts of Kenya, President Ruto says his government will make sure that the situation that happened today does not repeat at any cost.
I have directed all the organs of our national security to deploy measures to thwart any attempt by dangerous criminals to undermine the security and stability of our country. As the people of Kenya go to bed tonight, I give you my assurance that your security, that of your families and property, remains my utmost priority.
Reacting to those demonstrations, some Catholic leaders in Kenya have condemned anti-finance bill, urging for peace.
Has the means and the will to bring back sanity to our nation by not signing the finance bill into law for better participation, taking into account the voices of many Kenyans. Kenyans, our dear young people, our country belongs to all of us. Your lives are important to us. We plead with you to remain peaceful. We invite all Kenyans to pray for our country and for God to guide us and guide our hearts to restore order and peace.
Earlier today, demonstrators flocked to the streets to oppose the Finance Bill 2024. Reports from Kenya say the protesters broke through parliament barricades and entered the complex where lawmakers were debating tax hike proposals that have sparked widespread outrage. In another development, the Ministry of Defense in Kenya says military will be deployed to the streets of Kenya to work with police in handling anti-finance bill protests. And that's the international news. Sports news is up next. And in sports, Tanzania Football Federation President Wallace Karia says the primary and secondary school games competitions Umitashumta and Umiseta have proved to be a platform for harvesting talents for national teams. President Karia insists that his federation will continue to work with the government to develop infrastructure and facilities in primary and secondary schools so as to nurture the talents.
Kwenye mpango mkakati wetu tulisema kwamba
in our strategies we plan to make sure that Tanzania is going to be the powerful country in football as it is now.
Ambayo umeona hata kwenye nchi nyingine wameanza kulizungumzia hilo.
Tanzania Football Federation TFF plans to make Tanzania football a powerhouse in Africa by developing talents from primary and secondary schools. And before we wind up the news bulletin for tonight, let's take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Good evening from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. My name is Desderi Moses. This is 24 hours weather forecast starting tonight at 9 p.m. Wind is expected to flow at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour over the entire coastal strip of Indian Ocean, over Lake Victoria and the southern part of Lake Tanganyika. Tanzania Meteorological Authority has issued an advisory of periods of strong winds reaching 40 kilometers per hour and large waves reaching 2 meters for some areas along the Indian Ocean coast over Tanga, Dar Es Salaam, Pwani, including Mafia Isles, Lindi and Mtwara regions, together with Unguja and Pemba Isles. This advisory is also featured over Lake Victoria regions, that is Kagera, Geita, Mara, Simiyu, and the Mwanza region. Also in the southern part of Lake Tanganyika. People living in those areas are advised to take all necessary precautions. And tonight, dear viewers, dry condition is expected to prevail, as well as cool temperature, especially over the southwestern regions where the lowest minimum temperature is expected to be 8 degrees Celsius over Mbeya and the Njombe region. And tomorrow, dear viewers, it is our expectation that the large part of the country to feature partly cloudy conditions, while Tanga region and Unguja and Pemba Isles are expected to feature light rain showers. Now, let's have a look for the next 4 days weather forecast for some regions in our country. From Tanzania Meteorological Authority, that's all for tonight. Good night.
And that marks the end of the news bulletin for tonight. Don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. On behalf of the whole team, I am Kanki Mwaigomole. Catch us again on Thursday. Good night.